Manic Music Media Mondays. Manic Music Media Mondays. Monday. Monday. Manic Music Media Mondays. Manic Music Media Mondays. Welcome to Monday, Manic Music Media Monday. I believe this is number 3. That's correct, right? Let me talk to the producer, which is myself. Yeah, that is number 3. Ooh, so I figured it out. It's more like monthly. So it's not too much pressure, but it is still part of the rotation of things. It still gets into the routine of things. But that also allows me to not have to talk about the same thing all the time. It allows me to look at things with a completely different insight from the last time we spoke about things. And it also allows my complete viewing habits to change, because that's what a month of music media does or looks like or feels like in the year 2021, when there is so much consumption, there is so much consuming to do, and I am part of that consumption. So I am very excited for today's show. We got a memorial section coming up. We're going to say goodbye to a few shows that I really fell in love with, and Rick and Morty. Just because I was already in love with Rick and Morty. There's nothing wrong with Rick and Morty. We're going to invite some newcomers to the family, which I am extremely excited about. Like, as you can see, the viewing habits have changed a little bit. So there are new shows that are a part of there. I'm watching shows 5 days a week. I don't know if I was actually watching shows for all 5 days of the week last time, but you can actually see that now. We're going to marvel at the rest of the year, and then we're going to talk a little bit about Baby Keem's album, which, if you listen to the intro, you heard that. And the beginning of it, that's what I'm listening to right now. On the last episode, I believe we had already spoke about Donda, so we don't really have to get into that at all. So, are you ready to dive in today? Because I am pretty ready to dive in today. Today's main topic that I want to talk about is people who don't understand the world that we're living in, this completely sequel-heavy, remake-heavy world that we live in, this world that gives us trilogy after trilogy of Star Wars or Lord of the Rings. You got, let's bring Ghostbusters back, let's bring Blade Runner back, let's do Dune again. Everybody complains about it, everybody has an attitude about it, but when I hear you talking about that, for me, what it means to me is that you don't understand the value of nostalgia. Nostalgia as a feeling, nostalgia as a drug, nostalgia as a thing that when it hits you can paralyze you. You can feel it in your knees. It can be a painful thing. I mean, I know all the time I'll be in a conversation with somebody and I'll get hit by a moment of nostalgia and I have to stop every single thing that I'm doing. And it becomes like almost a fiery burn. And as I get older, I feel like it's even harder. It's getting worse and worse every time. So that's what these companies have done, right? They've figured out how to cash in on nostalgia, and they've done something probably even more special where they hook you in as a child and they bring it back around to you. So if you're one of these moments, I have a practice, I have a session, I have a little moment, I have something that you can do for yourself that can maybe help you understand why the world that we live in is the world that we live in. I want you to please take a moment to close your eyes, breathe in, breathe out. Tell your brain to think about the sexiest, the most kinkiest thing that your brain can think of. Don't think of it. Tell your brain to think of it, and let what naturally comes to you come to you. I want you to take a moment, feel that moment. Then, with your eyes still closed, think about reliving that moment. Think about reliving it over and over and over again. Then, take that same moment and think about adding new adventures to it. Think about adding new elements to it. Think about adding new moments, new feelings of it. That is what nostalgia is doing. That is what all of these remakes are doing. As I think about it, isn't that what marriage is supposed to do, right? Take like your first love and make it last forever. I think nostalgia might be doing better than marriage these days. But the point is, I understand it. Whether I agree with it or not, it doesn't matter, because it is something that exists and it's something that is powerful. So as long as that exists, there are always going to be people who are going to try to make the most out of it. And I could not understand that moment more than when I was watching the first episode of Titans, because the only reason that I was watching Titans was from our discussion on the last episode, where I was talking about the world of Batman and how interested I was in it, and how the one thing that DC was able to do incredible was create animated shows. And I didn't want to leave Gotham City. I didn't want to leave Batman. Flash forward to right now, I am currently up to date with the new season of Titans. This season 3, episode 8. I believe season 3, episode 9 comes out on Thursday. And that is what nostalgia can do, right? The Batman DC animated series from my childhood all the way up until now just makes me want to consume more of it. Even as somebody who doesn't consider himself the hugest DC fan, and is obviously like a Spider-Man fan to the fullest. But that's why we have it, right? That's why AMC has tried so hard to create a Walking Dead universe, when they gave us way too many television shows and people just lost interest in it. That was an example where it didn't work. That's why we have Disney World, right? Where you can fully immerse yourself into these universes that they've created. That's why we have come on, there's got to be more. That's why Netflix is trying so desperately to create that Witcher universe. That's why we had Space Jam, which was nothing but a Steven Spielberg, just a full rundown and reference point of everything that he did in his career. I mean, not Space Jam was Warner Brothers, but when I'm speaking about Steven Spielberg, that was actually Ready Player One. That's what Ready Player One was. Just all of the best of Steven Spielberg. And I read Ready Player One, the book, and it wasn't a Steven Spielberg book, but they were able to take the movie and cram all of that in it together. And it's pretty incredible. It's pretty incredible what nostalgia is, how they have found a way to market it and really cling on to it and tie us from the time that we are born, most likely to the time that we die, right? Like, we get like these logos tattooed on us. We live with them forever. We introduce our children to it. What an incredible feeling. What an amazing thing that they have done. So, moving on from our main topic, I do just want to get into 3 shows that I'm saying goodbye to. I hope there's not any shows that I'm missing out on. If there is, then it's extremely unfortunate. It means they were probably short. But I don't think it is. I think these are the 3 shows that I've really had to say goodbye to, that have meant the most to me in the last month since we have spoken. One of those is Bad Batch, which was on Disney Plus, which was the Star Wars animated series that we spoke about last episode. 16 episodes, 16 weeks I spent with these people. And by these people, I really mean 2 people. Let me look their names up. It is D. Bradley Baker and Michelle Ang. D. Bradley Baker, he played all of the roles of all of the Bad Batch characters, and Michelle Ang played the role of Omega, who I feel like in the 16 weeks that I watched this show, I grew up with. I watched her grow up. I watched her become the person that she can be for the rest of her life. I watched her make mistakes. I watched her prove the team wrong and become the most useful person on the team. So I just want to say shout out to those 2 people. Shout out to Dave Filoni, who created the Bad Batch. What a way to make a lifelong Star Wars fan, bringing back the nostalgia, into the new world, right? The last trilogy sucked. Actually, I won't say the last trilogy sucked. Return of the Jedi was incredible, was nuanced, brought a whole new life to Star Wars, and then with uh, the last one, they just completely ruined it. Again, you guys did an incredible job by bringing a show that's almost a children's show. Like, not exactly, but could be considered a children's show, and satisfied all of my Star Wars needs in the same way that The Mandalorian did. Moving on from there, another show that is going to make me give so many big years and so many shout outs to is The White Lotus, right? Like, if you follow me on Instagram, then you will see that I shouted out White Lotus. I posted the thing about screeching, about squealing, because that is genuinely what the show made me feel like. It made me excited to watch it, but also like it was a full body movement show. And the last episode was a bit controversial. I don't think it's too much of a spoiler to say that they started the show off telling us that somebody was going to die. And somebody died. And whether you expected it or not, whether you enjoyed it or not, it made sense. There was a lead up to it. It wasn't out of nowhere, even though it may not have been what I expected. I enjoy them for trying something. I don't know who I wanted it to be. Did I want it to be a person at all? I was just down for the ride to see where it went. And it's not where I expected it to go. So I'll give a big shout out to Mike White. I think you created a show that sucked me in, that I wasn't so interested in watching before. But it really was just a perfect satirical look on capitalism, and luxury and American culture. And I loved it. I loved all of it. Another show I loved, another show which I feel like got ragged on unnecessarily, is Rick and Morty, which, so I think Rick and Morty is at this place where it's almost like The Simpsons, where it can reference itself, where it can literally just talk about sci-fi tropes, and talk about their idea of what the sci-fi genre is, what sci-fi media has looked like over the past 60 years or so, 70 years. And I'm cool with that. I don't need more of that. Like, I don't want Rick and Morty to end, right? So I know people ragged on it because they're like, where are some of these episodes going? There's the big argument of, should it be a show that's serialized and that every week keeps going on and keeps adding to the character lens, or should it be a show that just does whatever it wants? Like, isn't that what the purpose of it being a multi-universal show? But then again, is there any stake in it if every episode we're watching a different family from a different universe? I don't know. I don't really care. The fact that the writers are talking about it on the episodes and are making meta commentary about it is enough for me. It makes me feel as if we're part of the discussion and we're part of the conversation, and we're going to watch it grow and we're going to watch it evolve and we're going to watch it change. I don't want to be Rick and Morty to be something that's static. I want it to be something that I say, oh damn, I've been watching for 19 years now. Who knows how did that even happen? I want it to be a show that could be syndicated. So I'm happy to see where it's going. Just, if you keep this stride, I think it's perfect. I think you're doing a perfect job. In a second, we'll come back and let's get into some of the newcomers and some of the shows that are really capturing all of my attention and everything right now. So let's get into the newcomers, right? There's been so many new shows that just popped out of nowhere. I mentioned Titans earlier. We'll dive into that a little bit more, but that kind of popped out of nowhere, and there's a few more around the corner. I know Foundation is one of those shows that I think starts maybe this Friday. I'm very excited to watch that. But the first of it is C, Apple TV C, starring Jason Momoa. You know what? I didn't do my research. Let me name a few more people in C because I believe. Woo! A sneeze. We got a sneeze. Does that mean it is September 2021? Does that mean it is the fall season that's coming around? Okay. So we have C, and why did that cast not come up on Google? It's because I write in C Apple TV, and when you write in C Apple TV, it's like, oh, do you want to see everything that's on Apple TV? No, I want the cast of Apple TV. So Batista, of course. Actually, I don't really know most of the actors that are on the show. Wow, I'm seeing for the first time how Tamaki June actually looks. Okay, so let's not even dive into the cast. C is incredible. Like, just to start off, it is a show about blind people, right? And it's obviously the premise of the show. But the fact that it's a show about people with disabilities is not a thing, because blind people are the majority of the world. But if you take it out of that and you take it into our world, it's obviously a show that is highlighting the resilience and the strength of blind people, of disabled people everywhere, and showing that because you have a disability or something of that nature, you can still be the baddest ass mofo in town. And that's what Jason Momoa is, right? Jason Momoa. He is ill, he's blind, and he's a killer, he's a father, surrogate father. Like, he's the Jason Momoa that you would expect, and he's a blind man. I love that it's in the future, but it is run down. There's been a few shows like that this year. Sweet Tooth, similar. That's I think my favorite. What was that other show? That other HBO Max show about the aliens, Raised by Wolves. Raised by Wolf. Like, I love a show that shows the future. The movie starring Wolverine, Hugh Jackman, that just played was also the same. Reminiscence. I keep cutting myself off. Excuse me. I'll finish the statement that I'm trying to make. I love films that take place in the future, but everything is run down. Everything is broken. That very Mad Max, Fury Road, cyberpunk era, Blade Runner era. It's my favorite genre that there can be. And C is a whole new another level of it, because the technology is not there at all, because it's about blind people, so the technology is not what's important to them. With the way that they live their life with the natural resources was incredible. And it started off as one show and kind of zoomed off into a whole nother show, which I didn't expect, but I'm down for it. I'm still enjoying it. And I know it's a show that premiered 2 years ago. Season 2 just premiered now, so I'm watching Season 2 live. It's always interesting when you get into one of those shows, because you actually realize how different the actors look. You see, from one series finale to the other series premiere, how much time really spent in between, where somebody who watched the show live is not going to notice the same highlights and the same subtleties that you know. See, great show on Apple TV. I'm on episode 4 of season 2, so I'm hoping there's at least 6 more episodes of it that has made my Friday nights. Now let's get into Titans, the show which I really started off this episode talking about in the first place. Titans has been such an experience, because about a month ago, I watched Long Halloween, and then I needed more of that DC. I needed more of Gotham. I needed more of Batman. Robert Pattinson's Batman is right around the corner. The director is going to have his event in about a month or so as well, where we're going to get more reveals of it. We're going to get the trailer for it. So I'm kind of, itching for Batman. We just had Zack Snyder's Justice League cut. So I dove into Titans like a superhero would. Dove and landed in the superhero stance. And I watched it straight, season 1 and season 2. Back to back, every day, finished it in 4 or 5 days. And I loved it. There are moments that are so CW and that is probably the worst compliment I can ever give to a show. I mean, the worst criticism I can ever give to a show is that it's a CW serialized bull crap where you just have to fill 22 episodes. It has its moments like that. But for me to acknowledge those moments and still see it as a viable show, with interesting characters, with interesting storylines, and all of the above, I'm in. I'm all in for it. I'm invested. And as I'm thinking about it, I'm literally in the moment thinking about it, I'm just realizing how different it has changed from the first season to this season. It has changed drastically. Some characters are gone and haven't even really been addressed, and then there are new characters in it that have completely replaced them. Once again, a show that is very much highlighting on mental health, the disabilities of one, trauma of another, and that's really what the best parts of it is. It's not so much the superhero things that they're doing, right? It's not the highest budget show. It doesn't have the best visual effects in the world, but what it is doing, it's addressing the trauma that goes around what would happen if you lived in a life like that. And I'm all here for it. Heels on Starz, the show about wrestling television starring Stephen Amell, is exactly the same thing. It is about the trauma, the life of living as a wrestler. You see the Latino World Order flag behind me. If this is all you know me for, then you don't know I do Cuz Silent P Said So, which is a wrestling show for Seriously Cool. That is on my wrestling content. Last Wednesday, I went to my first wrestling show since the pandemic, my first mainstream wrestling show since the pandemic. Lost my mind and screamed my lungs out. And this Wednesday, 2 days from now, I'll be going to another one, which I'll be getting even crazier in because it's an even bigger show. And I'll be going with people. And Heels, it's all about the drama of what a wrestling show, of what a wrestling federation looks like. And it's so spot on because this week in the world of wrestling, there was controversy around Ric Flair about the actions that he has done over the last 2-3 years in the wrestling world. There has been so much of the Me Too movement, people being fired, people be coming out with their truths about experiences that they've had in the industry. And Heels is hitting all of these topics back to back in terms of a little small federation, in terms of a little small business, in terms of a small little family. But it's hitting all of the relevant spots as it's still happening in this world. And as a wrestling fan, the one thing you understand is that the world is crazy. It is nuts. Insane things happen. But people don't care. People don't look into it because they're like, oh, you're just doing that fake wrestling thing, and they disregard it. And in a lot of ways, it is the best thing that could ever happen to the wrestling industry, because the fact that people don't give it any credibility means that it can kind of slide by doing whatever the hell it wants. And Heels is a great example of that. I'm not a fan of the music. I don't like the theme song. It's not made for me, obviously. It's a Midwest or a southern thing. Not for me. I could almost take every episode and remix the music soundtrack of it, and I'd probably enjoy the show a little bit better. But if that's the only thing I gotta say bad about it, kudos. Genuinely had no idea I was gonna like it so much. Was just giving it a chance because it was a wrestling show. And even during the first episode, I sat there cringing at some of the lines. But by the end of that first episode, I realized that I was worked. And as a wrestling fan, for you to work me, I was damn impressed. Because not only is it like watching a good television show, but it's also like watching a wrestling program where they're playing with the tropes of a wrestling program. Genius. Great idea. And now the name Heels also makes so much sense. Moving on. What If? Marvel's What If. We're going to dive more into Marvel. We're just going to talk a little bit about all of the things that are coming for the rest of the year and how exciting of a fall and beginning of winter it's going to be. But what if 6 episodes in out of 9 episodes, as a comic book reader, as a comic book fan, it's awesome. Like, I always, since I was a little kid, I never understood, why can't we just have a world where a bunch of things happen? Like, treat them like the comic books. Why can't I have this Spider-Man world happening and this Spider-Man world happening at the same time? And it was always a money thing, right? It was always an interest thing. It was always about the eyes of the viewer. People are not going to go out and watch 3 big Spider-Man movies each year made by 3 different studios. But with Disney Plus, with live streaming, we actually have that ability now, because people are not going out to the theaters. People are watching this back at home. And if you don't watch it, if you're not one of those avid watchers, then it doesn't matter, because you can still go see the big Hollywood film, and you're not out the loop. And if the rumors are correct, if what they're going to do is, if they're going to take characters from Multitude of Madness or Multiverse of Madness, or if some of the characters from What If are going to be put into the Multiverse of Madness, that's what I meant to say. If that's going to happen, it's going to give people even more of an incentive to go back and watch it. So genius. All the commercials, all the trailers are pushing this big link up, this big meet up, and I don't know if it's necessary. I don't know if it's. I mean, they've teased it so much that of course you have to do it. But I was just happy getting What If episodes, 23 individual What If episodes. So the fact that it's gotten to a point where we are now gonna link up together, it actually worries me a little bit. But Marvel knows what they're doing, and I'm sure they're going to treat us right. They always do. Well, as of recently, they always do. Speaking of treating us right, HBO always delivers. I mean, that's why HBO, Disney Plus, right? That's why these Netflix, these companies, these media companies, these entertainment industries are at the top of all of these lists, are the things that I'm talking about on these shows, because they're the people who are creating the best of content right now. And Scenes from a Marriage, starring Oscar Isaacs and Jessica Chastain on HBO Max. 2 episodes have come out. I was only able to watch the first episode. Oh God, I'm single, if you were wondering. Damn, this is a show that would be so uncomfortable to watch sitting next to a significant other. It hits all of the hard parts of a relationship, all of the, oh my God, it makes my stomach hurt. It is uncomfortable to watch. It's great acting, great storytelling, but damn it is so unenjoyable to watch people, to watch the hard parts of love. It's the hardest things to understand, the trauma, the gray areas, the sadness, the hatred, the relapse from all of that, the recovery from all of that. Those are not pretty. And what Scenes from a Marriage seems to be like, it's like you want to see every not pretty part of a show, of a relationship. You want to see every single part of a relationship that's not pretty on one show, here it is. So I'll get to episode 2. It only premiered last night. Battle. I had to stay away. I could not watch 2 episodes back to back. And another show, and the last show that I'll really be talking about today, is Squid Game on Netflix, which is a Korean show that is bonkers, out of its mind. Korea has such a great trope about how they make their television shows, where they start, a lot of the time it's the lead character is an idiot, a bumbling idiot, a fool. So, but it also has quirk and has charm. So you watch this guy who is an absolute idiot go through all of these horrible things, and it's even when you're seeing the worst of the worst, and what I mean worst of the worst is hundreds of people be killed one by one in front of your face. Even when you're seeing that, there's still a light feeling to it, because the character that you are really observing it through is lighthearted and has a good heart. It is. But if somebody was like, hey, you want to take all of our childhood television shows, all of our childhood games playground games that we played, stick games, hopscotch type games, and was like, how can we add murder to it, and how can we add poor people to it? That's what they did. But Korean shows always have such great nuance to it that it's told not in a way that any single American show would ever be told, unless it was a shot-for-shot remake of a Korean show. They have a completely different just outlook on storytelling. The tropes that they follow are not the tropes that we follow, and just that distinction is great. Alice in Borderland, which I want to say was also Korean, I hope I'm not wrong, very similar, but extremely different shows. So different, not alike at all. But I am at halfway through episode 5. I was so tired last night. I only wanted to watch episode 3. But when episode 3 ended, I said, I can't stop here. So I had to go on to episode 4. Episode 4 ended even crazier than episode 5 did. And I had to just see what the rest of that was. Still ended up watching a half an hour of it before I was like, my eyes are dead. I'm going to bed. And the best part about going to bed for the rest of this season, for the fall season, was that I got so much more Marvel things coming our way. If you follow me on YouTube, you'll see that I reacted to the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer. There's a new Spider-Man film coming out. There's not much I need to say. That is my happy place. I was just at a wrestling show the other day. That was my happy place. A new Spider-Man film is coming out. These are my happy places. They're all that matter. Sadly. Unfortunately. We're 1 week away from Venom, which I'm hoping comes out in 4D, because I will be watching it like that. So excited for that. They're talking about a post-credit scene, which I am not going to look at the spoilers for. I want to experience it firsthand. Then after that, we still have Eternals. After that, we still have Hawkeye, which the Hawkeye trailer was bonkers. Hawkeye was the show that all of us were not that excited about. We were like, where the hell is this going? Lip service is what it felt like. We did not know that there was going to be Hawkeye meets Die Hard 2. Who the hell knew we needed that? Genius. So easily, what a easy cliche to satisfy fans. Good job, Disney. Good job. Also, on top of that, Disney Plus, then we still have The Book of Boba Fett coming out. And then we still have Season 3 of Mandalorian, which I believe is coming out in January. Just take a moment to marvel at the rest of the year. This is 2021. What the hell? As you can see, the weekly schedule has changed. Just slightly. Jesus and Mero are on vacation. That plus the shows that are in Memorial are really all that's changed up. And this is running a little bit long, but let's just dive a little bit into the movies that I watched. Suicide Squad, I hope you saw that. The Suicide Squad, excuse me. Great. James Gunn is great. It was so enjoyable. I watched it the day that I realized it was leaving HBO Max. It was leaving at 12 o'clock. It was like 11 o'clock at night. I was already tired. I was like, I'm going to bed, but let me just put this on as I go to sleep, just because I want to experience it one more time before it takes a while before I can see it again. All the Streets Are Silent, which was an incredible documentary about New York City hip-hop. Taught me so much. I'm New York City hip-hop and the skate scene. I have to finish that statement. Which are two big things that I know a lot about, and so taught me so many more connections that I didn't even know about. Great documentary. I recommend it to everybody. Jungle Cruise, since we're staying on the topic of Disney, I guess, which I don't think was as great, but interesting story, interesting topic, whatever. Beckett, starring John David Washington on Netflix. That was an interesting film. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Just a cool film, Like, I feel like if that's what Netflix does, just releases cool films, great. It's the same for Witcher, Nightmare of the Wolf. It was the same exact show. Same exact kind of feeling. Like, cool. I enjoyed it. It wasn't a masterpiece, but it satisfied all I needed. And it was also, it kept me open for the Witcher series as I wait for the next one to come out, either at the end of this year or the beginning of next year. I also saw Shang-Chi, going back to Disney Plus in the theaters. Great film. One of the best Disney ones. One of the best Marvel ones. I mean, there's so many now, being like 25 films that, even by being one of the best, you might still barely be in the top 10 or, be in the lower part of the top 10. But just great filmmaking, great storytelling, great character building. They've really gotten to the place where they're understanding that a villain needs to be nuanced, that a villain doesn't always have to be an evil villain. Thor 2. I'm talking to you, Thor 2. I also saw a crazy movie on HBO, which I thought at the time of watching it was a brand new film, and then I realized it's actually like 11 years old, called Black Death, which starred. It's about people. It's a crazy film. Black Plague, witches, knights, torture, brutality. That's all I can say. Which is a lot like Seven, which I decided to rewatch very recently too. And the last thing we're going to go in today to add music to this Manic Music Media Monday is Baby Keem's album. What was it called? Miraculous Blue? Right. Let me look it up. The Melodic Blue. I was wrong. I'm glad I looked it up. Oh man, I've been bumping it, just good music. I don't think Baby Keem is like an incredible rapper per se, like in terms of lyrics, in terms of things that he's saying, but he is a charismatic artist. He's a good storyteller. He's a good songwriter. He's fun. He is doing all of the interesting things that the youth is doing in his own way and adding his own twist to it. Two of the big standouts for me are Issues, which a music video just dropped for it. I would recommend going to see the music video, which was also just extremely creative, extremely different. And then Scars, which, those drums, and I heard people have been crapping on it, but Scars, man, that's the one I actually have on repeat right now. Obviously, they're both songs with Kendrick, which are both monsters, which are both bangers. Family Ties and Range Brothers. Yo, what Kendrick is doing with this new white man voice in his rapping, it is pretty damn incredible. Conceptually, vocally, it's cool. It's an innovation that I never expected, but can never unhear it and can never not associate it with K. Dot anymore. And I think that we have it. We have successfully completed a Manic Music Media Monday. I don't even think I introduced myself on this show, which goes to show you how comfortable we have gotten. That I can just come here, sit down, and we can talk for however long this was. I don't even know what it is. Normally I have a timer on it. Normally I try to keep it timed. But we're going to do it a little bit differently. I'm going to let it be more free flow, and then we'll cut it up and we'll break it down as we want it to be. You know, we're not trying to stick to Instagram limits. We're not trying to stick to anybody's limits. We're just trying to get all of our messages across and speak about the things that we want to speak about, right? My name is Tyler PSwitch Dow. That's P is silent. Thank you for watching this with me. Thank you for spending this time with me. If you enjoyed this, make sure you follow me on Instagram. Make sure you follow me on YouTube, Tyler PSwitch Dow. On Instagram, it's switch.nyc. Don't forget that silent P. Also, check out KOO, which is a company I make Saturday morning synopsis with Nia Fields with. Check out Cause the Silent P Said So, which is all of my wrestling content. And on my own content, I do more than just Manic Music Media Mondays. You get Today I Get To's. You get My Theory Is. Right now I'm promoting What If Switch Made inspirational content, which is just added to the YouTube playlist. Got a music video coming out very, very soon called Transparent. I'm actually wearing this sweater in it. Check out the website how you can purchase that as well. We're doing a lot. We're creating a lot. We're enjoying life. We're being mindful. We're appreciating this moment. Keep your cool. I know I'm keeping mine. Have a productive week. Enjoy.